I'll take the example here, later I may forget, that we are annoyed at his conduct. Annoyed. This is passive verb and this is the subject at the place of the object. Annoyed, not by. And this is the object in the place of the subject. And this is passive verb. Now go to the rule 4. The verb in the passive voice is always the past participle form of, and before the participle form of the verb one auxiliary verb is used. One auxiliary verb is used. You see here, this is the auxiliary verb. So the subject goes to the place of object in its appropriate form, and an object goes to the place of subject, and one by will be used before the object place, and verb number 4, verb will be always in the past participle form, and before that one auxiliary verb or group of auxiliary verbs will be used. And what type of auxiliary verb, which auxiliary verb will be used here will be controlled by the item in the place of the subject. And it has a general rule also. I will show you how to choose the auxiliary verb. You have already learned the tense, different tenses, past, present and future, and their aspects. That means present indefinite, present continuous, past present perfect continuous, their syntax, the structural pattern of their sentences, and all those structural forms begin with the subject. That means the verb is the active voice. From that we will learn what type of verb is used in the passive voice of the same tense. I will tell you, I will give you one example. Let's see, take one example for this. Take a sentence of present indefinite tense. Present indefinite tense. Indefinite tense. Take one sentence, this tense. Same sentence, he writes a letter. So a letter will be here, it is active. Here it will be a letter, written, always past participle, and it is him. Before that one by will come, and here what type of auxiliary verb will come? It is present tense and it is third person singular number. So is will come. Is. before the verb. So, for the present indefinite tense, in the passive voice, the auxiliary verb will be am, is or are according to the needs of the object, according to the person and number of the object. So, we learn this syntax of the passive voice in all the aspects of all the tenses. An easy way, just by showing you the change of the auxiliary verb before the main verb. Other things, all the other rules are always the same. Only this one will change. See, it is present tense. So here, for present indefinite tense, auxiliary verbs will be am or is or are. His conduct means behavior. His conduct surprises us. This is the object and this is the subject. It will change. Us will go here, it will become we, and surprises, the verb will be always past participle, surprised. One by, here by won't be here it will be at. I told you then at, it will come here, is conduct. So here will be one auxiliary verb, either am, is or are. You say which one? Are. We are surprised. Okay. If it is me, what will happen? See, it is 1, it is 2, now it is 3. His conduct surprises me. So it is active and it is passive. Here it is active. Passive will be here me is the object. Me will come here to the place of the subject and it will become I. And it is surprised, always past participle of the verb, surprised. All the other things are the same. At is there. His conduct, the same thing. Only the change is here. The place of auxiliary verb, that is here am. Okay, now it is clear, I think. So in the case of present indefinite tense, it will be auxiliary verb. The auxiliary verbs will be am, is, are before the verb. Auxiliary verbs before the main verb. Okay. So it is present in case of present indefinite tense. Now in case of present continuous tense, everything is the same, only change is the auxiliary. So we will write AXI LIAROI auxiliary verbs. Auxiliary verbs what? Am or is or are plus BEING. Being. Okay. Take an example, the same example in this form. He is writing a letter. Active voice. It will be the same thing, a letter written, everywhere written here, written by, everywhere by him. Here will be is BEING, is being. it will be is being, because here subject is a third person singular number. When it is a plural number or this any other person, then it may be am being, are being, in this way, present continuous tense. Now it is present perfect tense. The present perfect tense, auxiliary verb. Auxiliary verbs will be have or has plus been. Have or has plus been. Had or has plus been. Take the same example in this form. He has written a letter. The same thing you see is active. There will be passive. A letter. A letter written is always written past participle of the verb. Written by him. Here it will be has been written. Written, everywhere written. Now present perfect continuous tense. Present perfect continuous tense, auxiliary verb, right? Auxiliary only. Auxiliary have or has plus been plus being. Take one example, the same example in present perfect continuous tense, that is he has been writing a letter. This is active. It will be a letter has been being. This is the auxiliary. Written everywhere, written past participle of the verb, past participle form of the verb, written by him. That is passive. Okay. Now past indefinite tense. Past indefinite tense. Past indefinite tense, auxiliary auxiliary. Auxiliary, present indefinite, the auxiliary was am or is or are. For this here it will be was, were. Take the example, the same example in different forms. He wrote a letter. The same thing. Active. Now it will be a letter was. It is always the same. Verb in the passive voice always be in the past participle form. By him. It is passive. Past continuous. Past continuous tense. Past continuous tense, auxiliary. Auxiliary, what? Same thing, the present continuous, it was am or is or are plus being. Here it will be was or were plus being. Take the same example in this tense, in this tense form. And he was writing a letter. It is active. The passive will be a letter was being written everywhere. The same was being by him. That is passive. Okay. Now take past continuous. Now past perfect. Now past perfect. Past perfect tense. Auxiliary, AUX, auxiliary. In present perfect tense, auxiliary was have or has. Now it is the past tense of have or has, that is had plus been, had plus been. Now the same sentence, he had written a letter. That is active. It will be a letter had been. Letter had been written, always written by him in passive voice. Passive, past perfect tense. Now past perfect continuous tense. Past perfect continuous tense. There is auxiliary verb, auxiliary had, had plus been plus being. Example, he had been writing a letter. Is active. The passive is a letter had been being, written is written everywhere, no change, by him. This is passive voice. Passive voice. Now future indefinite. Future indefinite tense. Auxiliary shall, will plus be. Shall, will plus be. Now write the same sentence in this format. He will write are later. Active voice, always active voice. It will become later will be written, is always written by him. Passive. Future indefinite, no, future continuous. Future continuous tense. Auxiliary shall or will plus be plus being. Take the example. He will be writing a letter. Now it will be a letter will be being written by him. Future continuous tense. Now future perfect. Future perfect tense. Auxiliary shall only will plus have plus been. Shall only will plus have plus been. Take the example. He will have written a letter. It will be a letter will have been written by him. Will have been. Auxiliary verb. Future perfect continuous. The last one. Future perfect continuous. Future perfect continuous tense. Future perfect continuous tense. Auxiliary AUXI. Auxiliary. What is auxiliary? Shall, will plus have plus been plus being. Though it is not used in this way in the practical case, but for the sake of the perfection of this pattern, you have to learn this. Take the example. He will have been writing a letter. Passive will be a letter will have been being a lot of auxiliary. The practical field, it is hardly found. Will have been being written Written is everywhere written by him. So this is, up to this you learned the verb pattern, syntax of the passive verb. Syntax of the passive verb with the help of the syntax of the active verb. Different aspects of the tenses. In the light of the syntax, the different aspects of different tenses. Still there are a few rules about the imperative sentence, some other types of verbs. We will learn the rest of the things. A few other rules are there also. We will learn all those rules, all the things in our next lesson or videos on voice. Today, after this, students, it's a long time, a long video. Have little patience. Watch it little by little and learn little by little, and it will be captured very easy. Thank you very much.